Hey, I'm Barbara Boss with Go Create It. I'm here to help you sell more products, save time on the boring stuff you hate doing, like accounting, coding, tagging, customer service, so that you have more time to do what you love, create. So I get a lot of questions about Etsy accounting and how to do it, especially if you're a small business, like a super small business. And so I thought I'd go through and answer those questions. Like, Etsy doesn't make it easy. They don't make it self-explanatory. And they've actually made some changes that makes it a little better than last year. But I'm going to go over this and show you guys how I do mine. But first, I've got to tell you where I'm coming from this morning. So I'm going to throw some pics in here off my phone. I'll take some pictures of the area I'm talking about, throw them in here. So this morning, I have an office upstairs that I do most of my recording from. The kids are home from school. They're noisy as heck. So I thought I'm going to record from downstairs, which is where my new office is that my husband is still in the middle of building. We're just framing it now. So I'm going to carry everything down there and do it down there. So I'm coming down with my computer, a notebook, my phone, my glasses, a cup of coffee, all stacked up, walking downstairs, and I trip over these cords, and I end up sprawled over this black toolbox like ass in the air. And I wish someone was there to take a picture of me, because the coffee splashed on me. It was all over my glasses. My glasses were hanging off my face. It was classic. And for a second, I was like, screw it. I'm going to the lake and paddleboarding today instead. And then I was like, no. Don't get thrown off. Let's go ahead and record this today. So here I am and ready to record and teach you guys some cool stuff. So I put together this quick little slideshow for all of you so that I can go through and explain a couple things to you and make this super easy and understandable. Here we go. Etsy bookkeeping the easy way. So first, there's a couple different methods of accounting, and the one that is most used, especially for Etsy sellers, is just your basic cash method accounting. That means you record money coming in, you record money going out. At the end of the year, you make an accounting of all of that on what's called a profit and loss statement, showing all of the money you made and any money you spent on your business and what the profit after that was, and that's what you get taxed on. Really simple method. There's also another method. Oh, I forgot I made some little things. Okay. There's also another method called the accrual method, and this is different. This is for, small companies can use it too, but it's usually used by big companies. And you keep your accounting when the transaction occurs. And this works better for companies that have like accounts receivable where they ship things off and don't get paid for them for 30 days, or accounts payable where they get to buy supplies and not pay for them for 30 days, pay the supplier, or people who have huge inventories, and I mean huge, like doing about 5 million in sales a year. We don't use the accrual method. It's more complicated accounting. We use a cash method, and it's really easy, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So first, let's talk about entity types. So if you have a business that's an S Corp, a C Corp, a partnership, an LLC that has more than one owner, there's a good chance that you will file your business tax returns for your business and then also file personal returns. So 2 different returns uploaded to the IRS when it comes time to do your taxes. A more simple version is if you are either a single owner LLC, doing business as, also known as a DBA, sole proprietorship. That means you are doing business as yourself, and therefore you get to claim the income from your business right on your personal taxes. They just add an additional page in there. It's usually the Schedule C that puts in all of your income and your expenses from your business so that they can tax you on that. And let me make that a little more simple. So here we go. Over here you've got an S Corp, C Corp partnership, multiple owner LLC, and you file your business tax returns. Then there's documentation from that you give to your tax guy that helps you file your personal tax returns on the normal form that you normally file on. I do 1040. Or the second way is when you have a single owner LLC, a DBA, or a sole proprietorship. That means I'm doing business as myself, and you file your normal tax return. Once again, I do a 1040, but there's one more document added to it called a Schedule C, which is your profit and loss from your company. And that is the way I do it. That's the easy way to do it. Don't take my advice, consult your own tax accountant, but that's really the easiest way to do it. Let's talk about this profit and loss statement and how you're going to make that and make it accurate and make it easy from off of Etsy's bookkeeping that you can download, okay? So first of all, a profit and loss statement is this simple. You take the money that you make, you minus off the money that it cost you to make that money, whether it's office supplies, supplies for the products, packaging supplies, Etsy's fees. You minus off all of those business expenses, and what is left is what you will actually end up paying taxes on, okay? So let me show you an example. Let's say that you sold a painted gecko for $5 on Etsy, but it cost you $3 to sell it because you had to buy the supplies to make that product that was $2, and then you paid, let's say, $1 in Etsy fees to list it and sell it and transaction fees, okay? So really all you made was $2. And this is how you're going to do it on your profit and loss statement, and you report that to the IRS and they say, okay, you have to pay taxes on that $2, okay? So it looks very similar on a profit and loss statement. There's going to be a top section called revenue, which is generally just your sales. And then there will be another section called your expenses that shows everything that you had to spend. The cost of the goods that you sold, so it was the clay and the paint, cost you $2 to make that gecko, and the Etsy fees cost you $1. Total expenses, $3. Therefore, your net income at the bottom would be $2. So it's going to be a little more complicated than this because there's going to be more numbers and more expenses. You might have, computer repair expenses and all of those kinds of things you can write off in a year against that income so that you don't have to pay taxes on that income if you really use it for your business. So we take this $2 and that's the bottom line, and it is called your net income. Up here, the top, it's called your gross income. Once you take expenses out, it's called your net income. So before we get started in this Excel template, I want to show you guys what we're doing here. We're going to have some sheets in this Excel template that pull over and fill in the income area of a profit and loss. And then we're also going to have some sheets of different kinds of expenses, including Etsy expenses, that will pull over and be on that profit and loss as well, so that we can come up with a net income at the bottom, which is the taxable amount. This is how I did it on my own business up until I started getting a lot of transactions every month and started using QuickBooks and learned QuickBooks. But until then, I just used an Excel spreadsheet because it was way less expensive and I was still able to keep records of every transaction in my company. And so I'll share that template with you guys, but of course, consult your own professionals, etc., etc. All right, let's go. So what we have going on here is an Excel spreadsheet where the very top sheet is the profit and loss, and then I have some other tabs here where you can enter your Etsy sales, your Etsy fees, your marketing fees, your shipping fees, and some templates for other expenses and incomes, and they all pull over to this profit and loss to get you your big total number at the bottom for your tax man. So we're going to go ahead and start by entering in income off of your Etsy account. Now I'm going to use one that I closed so that you guys can see where it's located on Etsy, but this is actually one that I closed out and pulled everything over at the very beginning of the year to a Shopify account. So there were a couple sales trickling in that we can use to do the numbers, but it really doesn't matter if you've got a lot of numbers or a few going into these totals, you can still use it the same. And so we'll go ahead and use this account. So to get the totals from Etsy, you go to, if you're in your shop manager, you're just going to go to Finances, Monthly Statements, and it will look like this page here. It shows the sales, that's your income, and these three different fees. Your fees that are just like listing fees, transaction fees, processing fee, and then your delivery fees if you have any, and marketing, that's if you're promoting any of your listings. I wasn't at this time. Like I said, all of my ads were going to my Shopify, and there was just a few like things trickling in or a few sales trickling in off of Etsy just because I hadn't shut it down yet. So we're going to use these numbers to teach you guys how to do some simple accounting, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is pull the numbers over. Let's start with our income and or known as revenue, which you can pull over right from this page, the monthly statements. So in January, I made $40 in sales. I always like to click the down arrow and see where what is played into that number. In this case, it was just straight sales of 40 bucks. So I'm going to come over to the Excel sheet and go in under January and say $40. There was no VAT. I'll tell you what VAT is in a second. And then we'll go and check, okay, so for February, 97 bucks in sales. What went into this number? So there was actually $104 in sales. So we'll put that number in, but they took $7 out in VAT. So what VAT is, it's basically a sales tax for people who are ordering from the European Union. So any of the countries that are members of the European Union require a sales tax to the United States, and Etsy collects that for you. They add it on to the total of your order, and then they remit that to the applicable country that they ordered from. And so it drives up your sell cost just a little bit and then pulls it back down as they take that back out. And there was 0 refunds and 0 sales tax removed and remitted to the states as well. So in total, I made $97 in sales in February and $40 in January. And then I actually did not make any in March because that was the last of the trickling. Oh, actually 15 bucks in March. Let's have a look, see. So $1.05 in VAT, $16.05. Okay, I did not realize I had done that. So we're going to enter that in. So now we have January through March, and then I think we were finished. Yeah, everything after that was zeros because I was doing it in Shopify. But I'm going to go ahead and take a second and put some fictitious numbers in here just so that you guys can get an idea of how this is working. But as you can see, it's totaling it here at the bottom and already pulling it over to the very first sheet, the front page under Etsy Sales. So that'll happen automatically. Okay, so I'm back. I entered in a few more numbers as if I had kept my Etsy shop open the rest of that year to give you guys an example. And I would have just pulled it from these monthly statements under sales. And as you can see, it pulled over the total over here onto our profit and loss as your income or revenue. Now, you may have made sales elsewhere. Let's say that you made some booth sales at a Christmas booth or something like that. You guys can change these names and enter these amounts if you've done sales anywhere else. So let's say that you made 450 bucks in booth sales. Let's say on Instagram some people placed an order, paid through PayPal, and you made another 150 bucks there. And as you can see, it's totaling and giving the total out here to the side to create a total down here for you. So right now we have a bunch of income, but we haven't entered any of our expenses yet, so we would be taxed on that income. However, we do have expenses. So we're going to go ahead and enter those and make our net income that we're taxed on much less. So first of all, Etsy listing and transaction fees. I've pre-filled some in here. Anywhere you see green, it totals from another page, from one of these other sheets. And anywhere you see blue, it's an entry filled. By the way, go ahead and, I just put a fun name in here, but go ahead and put your business name in here and the tax period. It's usually a January through December if you're not using a fiscal year, which most people don't. And I just filled in some other typical expense categories. You don't have to use them. You can click into them and change them to ones that apply to you, or just delete them altogether. But anywhere you see this green means it's pulling totals from another page. For example, this 4712 is pulling over from here, as I just showed you. And this listings and transaction fees, those are about to pull over from here. So let's get into that right now. Let's say we're going to go ahead and put our fees in for the year. You can see the listing fees in January were 40 cents. Let's enter that in. Transaction fees were $2 and processing fees $1.70. Really cheap when you're not really using Etsy anymore, right? And by the way, if you guys want to know why I switched over to Shopify, I have a blog post about it. Check it out. It could be a little bit more profitable for you. But that is not advice, just to be safe. I'm just saying that's how it worked for me. Okay, $240 on the listing at fees for February, $485 on the transaction fees, and $462 on the processing fees. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Okay, so, and I'm back. I've entered in numbers through the end of the year, and then you would next go to Etsy marketing. I don't have any Etsy marketing fees. Like I said, I had switched over. But if you did, you would enter them here for each month. And then you would go to Etsy shipping or delivery, whatever you want to call it. And you would enter them in going to each month and doing that. And by the way, I just do the totals for the shipping and for the marketing. I don't do the little breakdowns. It's really not necessary. And that way at the end of each year, you have a total down here. And I will go ahead and take a second and fill these in. And I filled those in. So now we have all of our fees pulled over from the Etsy total pages over here. And they are auto-filling in the profit and loss. Are we done yet? No. And here's why. Because let's fill in some more expenses. Maybe ones that you had off to the side that had nothing to do with Etsy. So that is why I made these templates, so that you can come down, if you click on the square box in the corner and then right click it and say copy, you can actually make a whole new sheet. Let's say that you had a bunch of shipping fee, or office supplies that you want to record throughout the year. So you can go in and just put the transactions in. So click up in this square again, right click and say paste, that template that we just copied. And you can come in here and you can say like January 15th, 2022. I went to Staples and I spent $32. Keep your receipts. You're going to want them if the IRS ever audited you. And actually what I do is I have a separate bank account for each one of my businesses so that it's easy to keep track of all the money coming in and all the money going out of my business, because it's all that goes through that checking account. And before, when I was like too small and I didn't even have a checking account for my business, then you can just use a credit card to do all of your expenses through, so that you have bank records or credit card records to go along with your receipts, to go along with the transactions that you keep record of here in this Excel sheet. And it's a pretty good record keeping system. But yeah, so you can sit here and enter, say on the 28th, I went to Office Max and spent $5, or, bought it on Amazon, whatever. And it's totaling it down here at the bottom. So on the profit and loss, you can say office supplies, this square, push equals, and then come over to office supplies and say it equals this field. So I put all of my office supplies in on its own sheet because they're usually considerable. And then I have it auto total over here onto the office supplies. And you can make as many sheets as you need for the different categories of expenses you have. But I'm not going to lie, I don't make a sheet for each one of these expenses. For example, legal and professional fees. I only wrote one check last year and it was like $250 for a privacy policy. And so I'll just put that total in and keep the receipt. And then I have another template here. In case you have smaller amounts, you can just use this and pull the totals over to the profit and loss. And remember, all you do to pull a total over is click in the cell that you want to fill in and say equals, and go back to that category and pull it, push enter, or choose it and push enter, and it will pull that total over to that first page for you. I will also make one, like I said, in Google Docs for those of you who aren't very familiar with Excel. So I'm going to show you an example really quick of using template 2. Some people have asked and were a little bit confused about it. So I'm inserting this after the fact. But what I did is I copied the template and pasted it over here in sheet 2, and then made categories that were applicable to what I do. So let's pretend like I had some bank charges. I go ahead and change this to a category bank charges and add in the transactions for that. Out here to the side, you can even put transaction numbers or check numbers, whatever you want. In this case, bank fees aren't going to have check numbers. And then down here, I did an education expense. Let's say I bought my Pinterest course, got a really killer deal on it for $4.97. So the charge came through as Girl Create It. And let's say I bought Pat Flynn Superfans book, which I do recommend. It was $14.69. The charge came in from Amazon. And so I enter those in, and then I simply come in and say equals bank charges. This one is education expense equals this one. And so it's pulling it over, and you can do that with as many categories as you want. You can make as many sheets as you want. And if it's a huge category, you can put it on its own sheets. Tiny categories with not a lot of transactions, you can use template number 2 for those, and then just pull them everything over to the profit and loss. Don't forget to pull them over to the profit and loss, because in the end, this is the thing that keeps record of all the money going in and going out and helps determine your taxes. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that water trickling. I don't know if the mic is picking it up, but I'll tell you what it is if you're wondering. It's not raining outside. My daughter's upstairs making chicken tikka masala for me, and it's so super good. But every time she turns on the sink, water comes down these pipes that are unfinished down here, and that's why you can hear that, if you can. But, you know, soup's good on the chicken tikka. Getting hungry. Okay, next I wanted to show you guys how I keep these Etsy records. Like I said, they're going to say, where did this number come from? I want to see what goes into this number. So you can come over here and say this each month, do this, download the CSV, and it will, here it comes, there it is. It pops right up, super easy, right? Now, it's kind of gibberish at first. It isn't really, but it's way easier if you go like this. Highlight the whole thing by clicking up in this corner, and then say data, sort by type of transaction or fee, and it will sort them all, like the deposits, then the fees, then the sales, the VAT. It would have marketing in here, shipping, stuff like that. I don't have anything in either of those. But what I do is I come in and just put 3 lines in between each one. You simply find where one category ends, highlight 3 fields, right click it and say insert. And let's do that again. And then I like to come down and go to the home tab up here at the top and click auto sum. And it will say auto sum these ones. You just hit enter, means yes. $11.87 in fees. That's true. That's the exact amount we put in, right? Auto sum these ones, yeah. Hit enter. VAT, auto sum these ones, yes. Hit enter. So now you're going to notice $104 in sales, $7 in VAT, $11.87 in the fees. And then if I had any marketing or delivering on, there would be, you know, additional rows down there showing that. And that is how you have a perfect record. These just show the monies that they sent and deposited into your bank. Then I go ahead and save this in the same file as I do the receipts, or I'll create another file that says Etsy records or something like that and put it in that, so that when they want to know what went into the listing fees, you can come right in and pull them up easy. Or the sales, it has the date, everything, and it will match Etsy's records perfectly so that your accounting is immaculate, which is what we want, right? And downloading those CSVs makes it so that you can come in here and show them exactly what goes into each one of these numbers if you needed to look up that month for them. Okay, and that's everything. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you. So in the templates, let's say that you wanted more fields, that you were using them up throughout the year and you needed more fields. Before you get to the end here, while there's still blank fields, just highlight those rows, right click them and say insert, and it will insert more rows and include them in that total down there at the bottom. And so easy pleasy to add some more rows to that. So good luck, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me an email if you do. And yeah, have fun. Have a great weekend. Yeah, you might be listening to this on a Monday. Have a great week. All right, see ya.